Hi, friends and family. Welcome to another fantastic episode on Thriving Together. My name is Burala, and today we're going to be talking about something extremely interesting on navigating societal pressures and co parenting in blended families. I have such an amazing speaker today, Miss Bukola Jologbo, also known as Kiki. Bukola Jologbo is a renowned voice and catalyst for raising exceptional boys into world class leaders. Is dedicated to strengthening families and changing lives. Kiki is the founder of Joshua's Army and Naomi's Tribe, two leading global organizations providing mentorship, resources, events, and community to help parents intentionally raise their adolescent sons into wholesome men. Her concentration is towards males, but this discussion will be centered around male and female. Amazing bio, Kiki.
Thank
Why the
you.
focus? I mean, I'm quite curious. And why the focus on male or men or boys? What is the
Thank
fascination?
you. I expected that question, but why the focus on the male child? I think it stems from my passion for the male gender, and I grew up loving men.
Okay.
And there's a standing joke I make of myself that I didn't have a bridal shower because I didn't have girlfriends, and I couldn't ask the guys to wear dresses, to the
Amazing.
bridal shower. But as I grew older, I began to realize the gap in the way we raise the girl child and the way we raise the boy child. A good example is I remember there was a time in where, as a teenage girl, I was standing myself, my brothers, and some other guys in church, and this, God bless her, lady walked up and said, "You have to keep yourself. It's good for you to get married a virgin." And I said,
Okay.
"Thank you, Auntie. What are you telling them?" And I just realized that we were raised, but our boys weren't raised. And
Hmm.
I was having a conversation with my younger son, my older son, 2 days ago, and I was just telling him how we were raised because he asked me a similar question. "Mom, why are you so much on wholesome boys, wholesome?" I said, "We grew up being raised. Do this in your husband's house. This is how a girl should do it." But our boys were told, "Oh, do get married so that a girl will." And I feel that's one of the reasons why our generation, not our parents' generation, they stayed in, but the rate of divorce is so high because we have so many half-baked men.
Tell me
And
about it.
God blessed me with two amazing sons, and I looked at my boys and said, "You know what? I got to do better."
Absolutely.
And then I look at people around me and I say, "You know what? We all have to do better
Absolutely.
in raising wholesome men." And I don't want somebody to marry my sons tomorrow or your sons and send curses home to us.
Amen.
So we need to do better as a society. And as we're doing that, and I'm thankful to God that a lot of people are waking up to raising wholesome and exceptional boys. And I pray that as we're raising these boys, there are also people that are raising girls, because at the end of the day, I say to mothers of girls, if you don't raise your girls will lose out, because we're raising wholesome boys in this generation.
The key word for me is raising wholesome boys. Very topical, especially because there's a lot of conversations around really how men are raised, especially men of a certain generation. So it's interesting that you've picked that niche and you've run with it. But today we're going to be having a very
Thank you.
amazing topic on navigating societal pressures and co-parenting in blended families.
Yeah.
So I guess for me, the first thing would be co-parenting. As a parent coach, how would you describe or explain co-parenting?
I think for me, the word that turned into co-parenting is cooperative parenting.
British.
And one of the things I say, particularly to fathers in Joshua's Army, and the things I do with parents, is the fact that yourself and mom are no longer together doesn't mean you should stop being a parent. So co-parenting is irrespective of what must have happened between mom and I, or the lady and myself, or the lady and the man. We have to stick together in parenting the boy. So it's cooperative. We're working together in I say the boy, right, in raising the child. So yeah, I think for me that's what co-parenting is, and it goes beyond just what the word is, the cliche that's flying around, but to being intentional about it, being deliberate, being present. In a lot of ways, we're not present with our children, and we have so many excuses that are valid. But again, these children are key parts of our lives. They're key parts of our lives. So forgive me to say that there are no excuses that are valid. Co-parenting is you coming together to cooperate and raise your children together, putting aside, the differences between the two of you.
Wow. What I take from there is, I mean, co-parenting, like just the word cooperation, like you are both raising these
The
children,
children.
regardless of the circumstance, the pain or the hurt that may have necessitated
Yeah,
whatever breakup or separation, as we call it.
differences or anything.
Yeah. So when we say blended families, what does that even mean? Where did we even get that from?
I think the word blended in this case is we are blending it together. We're coming to mix it together, even though we do not have the same DNA, if you will. And so blended family is a case where A and B have had a child and it didn't work out, and C and B comes to marry C, or B with C. And then they now take the child from that union and they're living together and raising the child together. So I think it's a case of we're blending our DNA, we're blending our lives together, even though we do not have, that background or that beginning together as a family. That's how I would interpret it.
It's amazing. So pretty much this is flowing from cooperating into blending. Now we've come from different places, so we're now coming together to become a unit. But obviously there are children involved in most cases.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I guess for me, flowing from that is quite interesting. What I would like to, for us to speak more about, can you share an example of how probably a parent you've worked with or a family you've worked with identified and overcame the pressure of societal expectation for parenting perfectly in this kind of unideal circumstance? I mean, what is perfect parenting? Have you ever seen a situation where, these parents or family have come to you and, they're feeling like, I'm under pressure. I feel like I'm not getting it right.
We all feel that way every day. Even even I feel that way, sometimes. And I'll say I did an interview or a chat to somebody on Instagram yesterday or 2 days ago, and I said that I was reflecting a few days ago while I think I was washing my bathroom, was walking, when you're just by yourself and you're reflecting. And I was thinking that there are two areas of our lives that are very delicate. We do not have manuals for, but we're expected to be perfect in those areas of our lives. And that's in our marriage and in our parenting. And so, because on the journey, a lot of us are learning as we go, it becomes a vulnerable journey that a lot of us hide the truth. We hide our truth. And I don't know how it is in, other society or community, but one thing I realized in our community, my background is Nigerian, so I'm Nigerian, is I noticed there is a lot of competition in parenting our children. And so a lot of the times we do not parent based on who our children are. We're parenting based on societal expectations. The school your child is going to is because of the bag your child is taking to school is because, and those are pressures on us. And I was saying to a group of parents in a mentoring class not so long ago, I think towards the end of last year, I said, we adults we struggle to handle peer pressures. And we're so blinded to it. And those peer pressures are even affecting the way we raise our children. We allow those external factors to come in. And so when I had my boys, I sat down and I said, who do I want these boys to be in 25 years' time? And I think that's something and it's never too late. Every parent, you owe it to your child to first of all go to God and say, I'm a Christian, so I'm going to talk from that perspective.
Absolutely.
Who have you given me? Right? And then identify the vision you have for your child. And then I've got two. So vision for A might not necessarily be the vision for B. But there has to be that. So that when the societal pressure comes in, you are able to stand and say, that's not who this child is. Your child might be a child that has to go to uni based on the vision. But if the next one doesn't have to go to uni based on the vision, it doesn't mean that child is less of any other child. But as society, I remember, now I use that as an example because one of my boys decided to go for degree apprenticeship, not directly to uni. And one of the things my husband said there, and this was about 3-4 years ago, that not my child. How will I say? And I said, hold on, say to who? Did you get? That's why I said sometimes we all are in that journey. Who am I saying to? Is it what will I say to God, who has given me those children? Or what will I say to Wura, who knows nothing about the vision for my child? Do you understand? So those are the kind of societal pressure we give into as parents, and that begins to dictate how we raise our children. And at the end of the day, a lot of the children are growing up traumatized, pained, and not being able to stand up for their identity. I hope that answers your question.
That's amazing. I mean, so many nuggets from this, because in listening to everything that you've just shared, it's pretty much there's a societal projection on us
Parents,
to be perfect, when really we're really just winging it.
Exactly, we're learning on the journey. While I was driving here with my sister earlier on, we're talking about our parents. They winged it. There are lots of things they didn't do right, but they winged it, and in their winging it, we've learned. I don't like the word we're here today, because in fairness, a lot of us are here today, but we're not really here. I don't know if you understand what I mean. So, but in winging it, the way they winged it, we've learned. And then we're taking what we felt they didn't do right to do better with our children. I had a conversation with my son one day. I said, Steve, I'm not perfect. Call me out. Tell me. Be careful how you tell me. Don't come and be rude. Absolutely. But feel free to come and tell me, Mom, you said this, you did that, and I don't think I like it. This is how it made me feel. I promise I'll listen and I would apologize to you. And I said, you know what? And I know, again, I will not always get it right. But the things that I'm not getting right are lessons for you when you begin to have your own children. And so it gets better by the day. It gets better by the day as we go on.
Amazing. So, Kiki, what would you say really in a situation where you have a blended family? How do they handle the societal pressure that comes with that? Because this is a different dynamic in a different society. I mean, we're in the UK, there's some things that are widely accepted, but in your own experience, how do you think that people in those kinds of situations handle societal pressure?
I think we should start from how do they handle personal pressure?
Come on.
Because I'm married to Mr. A, who had a child before I met him, and the child comes in. At the back of my mind, I'm saying, if I correct this child, will they? If I do this, will Mr. A? Oh, this child, naturally, my child will probably do some things. A good example, My child will finish his meal, spill on the table, take the plate and put in the sink without remembering to wipe the table. And then if the blessed child that came into the family does that, if I call him now, they might say, because he's not my child. So those are pressures we put on ourselves. When we're not able to handle those pressures within ourselves, it's easy for us to fall for the societal pressure. So again, it takes me back to if I'm going into a relationship, or I've gone into a relationship with this person, what's going on at the back of my mind about that child? In fairness, it is not a sin to tell yourself you can't handle it and not go into that relationship. The sin is you know you cannot handle it and you go in. That's where I feel the issue is. So it's okay to reflect on yourself and answer some very honest questions with yourself. Give yourself honest answers. Can I handle it? And then if you are in, make the decision. This child is my child. What is the vision? Why has God brought me into this? I still go back to vision, because when there is a vision, God makes the provision for you to be able to run on that journey. So I still take us back to what's the vision? Why has God put me in this child's life? We've seen people who adopt children. That could also mean blended family. How would you treat the child? What's the vision? And so you begin to walk with that and with a firm foundation for yourself. So it's in the same vein, when you know you have that foundation set for that child or your biological child, then that you're able to withstand the pressure. Let's use the word the storm that comes from outside, because you're already built on a firm foundation. And the same thing goes for the biological parents in that situation. You need to be sure in yourself. There was time I worked with a parent, and it was a lady that came with our child into the relationship, and she said something. She said, I noticed my husband holds back in correcting my son, maybe because he feels he doesn't want to overstep. It's valid. And I said to the mother, have you ever stopped him when this boy was growing up? Yes, I said, exactly. Now you need to go back. So it's not from the part of the person now alone, but from the biological parents in the situation. We need, in everything we do, what is the purpose? What is the motive? And then another thing I would say in handling this pressure with yourself and the society, be open. Be open. Vulnerability has become a negative word, but in actual sense, it is not. Somebody, I went for an event to speak with my son, so we're co-speakers, and they asked him, what's one thing that you've enjoyed so much in your mom as a mother? I said, her vulnerability. It's a strength. And so if you're co-parenting and you're struggling, feel free to say it. Hey, babe, I'm struggling. What can I do? Be open. Have conversations about these things. It's better to say I'm struggling than struggle in silence and then it turns out to something else.
Wow.
And then feel free to slam the door at the society. Sorry, I'm using that word. Slam. Because the society is not in there with you.
Absolutely.
And in fairness, we need to, we say some things to our children. Because your friend has that, doesn't mean you should have it. That friend is their society. So if you can say that to your child, you should be, because my friend feels this way, doesn't mean it is right. So that I need to go for that all the time. Weigh it all out and choose the things that are true, the things that are noble, the things that are of good reports, the things that are praiseworthy, and run with them.
so much, Auntie Kiki. Like it's been. I mean, so for me, what I hear is first of all, you as a person going into that kind of relationship, you need to decide for yourself what is the vision.
Perhaps.
I mean, and you are raising this child just like you would raise your own. And really,
And how do you raise your
how do
own?
you raise your
You are
own?
a steward. You are a steward to God.
Mhm,
So in the life of that child, you're a steward.
mhm,
In the life of your child, you're a steward.
yeah,
They do not belong to you.
yeah,
When our children were very young, I can't remember what happened, and I called my husband into the room. I said, Uncle, you know you will give account. I said, see, it's not only your in Jesus' name, amen. It's not only your salvation that you will give account of. See this me that you have brought into your life. You will stand and say, God, this is how I loved her. This is how I say, you see these children, you will give account. God forbid that we go to hellfire because of the way we've not taken care of the talents, the children that God has given to us. So we need to be deliberate that these children, somebody has entrusted these treasures into my hands. I will give account. We all talk about the parable of the talents. I've read a book that called it the parable of the dollars, parable of dollars, parable of talents, and all of those parables. Those children, they're 10 talents in your hand. They're the dollars that God gave to those people, where He gave to one 5, another 2, another 1. And you know where the Bible says, and then He took from that person and gave to another. Isn't that what's happening? That the government is taking our children and giving to other people?
profound, very profound.
So the talents that God has given to you, how are you nurturing them so they grow into, now let's use this word, wholesome trees that are bearing fruits? It's very important.
Absolutely. Like you said, Kiki, really, children are like stewards. We are stewards in their hands, and it's important that as parents we nurture the talents, the gifts that God has placed in our hands. And I mean, it's amazing. I'm learning so much, so much. So I want us to go into communication skills in blended families. Have you encountered a blended family where miscommunication caused tension? How do they work to improve that kind of miscommunication issue? Can you just shed more light on?
Yeah,
that
okay.
kind of
I gave an example earlier on where I asked the woman, have you ever stopped him? Now, that's in the case of a blended family. So now let's come back to us that are not blended families. As a woman, have you ever said to your husband, honey, that's too harsh?
Well,
So in that case, it was okay, right? But if you say that in a blended family, it might not exactly be okay, because the other person might perceive it differently and receive it differently, right? And that's where wisdom comes in. The Bible says wisdom is profitable to direct. I keep going into the Bible. That's my manual. That's, so yeah. But wisdom is profitable to direct. Wisdom is key. And so when we're talking to each other, first of all, sound it by yourself. It's not all of the time that you can sound it by yourself, particularly in heated moments that we say, honey, it's okay. Do you understand? But when it happens like that, it's okay to go back and say, okay, that did not come out the way I wanted it to come out. And apologize. It's okay to take ownership for the things we say. So first of all, before you say things, weigh it out. It doesn't mean we have to walk on eggshells around ourselves. It means I respect you in this relationship with me. Because I hear people say a lot of the time, oh, so does that mean I need to walk on eggshell? No. It only says you respect this person. And in fairness, Wura, the way I talk to you is a reflection of how I respect myself as well. Do you get? So, first of all, reflect on what you want to say and the way you want to say it. In fairness, let's even leave blended family aside. The way we talk to our children, the way we talk to the other person, if they turn around and talk to you that way, would you be okay with it? I'll give a story, a quick one. My youngest son, when he was in year 11, is it 11? I can't remember. Yeah, 11, when the year where they write GCSE. I think just before they begin their GCSE exams, they're thinking of the sixth form they will go to. They're making those applications and choosing the subjects for sixth form. And my youngest son is a critical thinker. So we talk about these things, but it goes around back and he begins to digest it and think it too. On this faithful morning, I was coming downstairs, right? And he was downstairs going upstairs. And we got to the staircase. He's a giant. It's quite big. He's the biggest in the house. So he moved to the side and I walked past him. And inside of my head, I was like, did he see me to say hello? And I walked past him. I got downstairs. I said, Uncle, good morning. He turned around. Mom, did you just walk past me? I said, what did you just say? You gave way for me to walk past me. Oh, Mom. And he came back downstairs and threw himself, as big as he is, on me and hugged me. Mom, I'm so sorry. Mom, truth, I didn't notice you. And I said, are you okay? I said, Mom, today, can you remember today I need to submit what I can't remember. No, it was in year 10. I can't remember the year, but it was that he needed to submit something about the number of courses he would do, blah, 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 blah in school. And then the exam. Mom, that's all that was playing in my head. I wasn't here. Now, he had that going on in his head. And then I walked past him down the staircase and said, Fokpefuluwa, are you okay? Can't you see me? Am I too small for you to see? What have I done to him? He had a lot of things going on in his head. Then I've added my mess to it. I messed up not only his morning, but his day. Because I just choose not to be calm. So I say that to say emotional intelligence is very important for us parents. As parents, as adults, we expect our young ones to be more mature. Because imagine if I shouted at him, and with all of that was going on, and he shouted back, "You're rude." Wasn't I rude? What gives you the right not to be emotionally mature and you expect the child? So in blended family or whatever kind of emotional intelligence for the adults in the family is key. Because children are the greatest psychologists you can think of. They're reading the room. They're reading everybody and they play on those things. So when mom or the biological parent is always on edge, or the other person is, let them not come and say, that child will read it and will play on it. So you have to be emotionally intelligent. You need to be able to pick things. And then we need to be mature adults. I am the adult in this equation. And I need to prove that I'm the adult. Some people say, oh, they don't hear until I shout. It's because you have trained them not to hear until you shout. Sorry, I was guilty as well. And so it's a case of, again, saying what you want to see. And, in my house, one of the things we do is family meetings. So we sit down and say, okay, this is what is going on. And then in that process, we also say, this is what I'm going through. This is how I need you to help me. Be vulnerable to the child. Hey, honey, I love you and I want this to work. I want this to work and I need you to help me. When you say that to a child, auntie needs me to help her. It's boosting their ego. So I've talked about maturity, emotional intelligence, vulnerability, which is openness
Mhm.
is very, very important.
Mhm.
And then I also talked about treating others
Mhm.
the way you want to be treated.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these four key things really, in even just in normal relationships,
Exactly.
would be very good pointers to how to deal with miscommunication, which for me, I mean, in this kind of situations that I've been in, is always like the key driver for misunderstandings, really. Because really, if you're being vulnerable, if you're being mature, if you're really listening, I mean, you're giving your partner the room to be able to come to you.
Come to you.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Kiki. So now we're going to be talking about something that it's been quite topical: parent guilt.
Give me a
um,
joke.
a lot of parents, we find ourselves in that place where we feel like it's either I'm not spending enough time, I'm not doing enough, I'm not giving enough, I'm giving less. How do you deal with parent guilt, especially in the kind of society that we live in?
Hmm. First of all, pat yourself on the back and say, Ulubukola, you're doing your best. Do not forget to it's not pride to pat yourself on the back. It just means you appreciate yourself where you are on the way to where you're going. Parents guilt, a lot of people go through it, but I think I was on a conference one day and one of the speakers said parents guilt is it's a lie of the devil to make you not do what you need to do. Because when you're in the place of guilt, instead of you to be able to arise and get up and do what you need to do, you're suppressing yourself. That guilt is a weight upon you that puts you down. Just let's be factual. You feel like I need to that child, my 13-year-old son or daughter needs to at this age, I expect that child to know how to clear the dishes. And then boom, I came to your house and I realized they don't know how to clear the dishes. That's like, so instead of me to be able to reflect on I'm not saying that they need to, I'm just giving that as an analogy. Instead of me to be able to reflect on, okay, what do I need to do? That guilt is a weight on my shoulder that is causing me pain. And instead of responding, I react. How dare you not know how to wash the dishes? And then I'm reacting and not responding. So, first of all, every day reflect, what have I done today? What can I do better? Pat yourself on your back for the things you're doing well. Because I say to myself and I say to parents that I work with, God is a perfect matchmaker. He did that matchmaking. So if you were the parent, if you can't parent my sons, no, because I am the best that God prepared for them. You can be their auntie, you can be their mentor, you can be their go-to person, because I also believe in that. But to be their biological mom, no, you can't, because God did that matchmaking and He's a perfect matchmaker. So we need to first of all appreciate that, and then learn from where we are, begin to go from where you are to, earlier on talks about vision. What is the vision? What's the end goal? One of my end goals for my boys is after 3 years of that woman marrying you, she will come back and hug me. That mama, thank you. That's one of them. And like, when they walk on the streets, when they meet you for the first time, I want them to be able to impact your life in a way that you cannot describe and leave something. And then I can go on and on and on about the vision, the goals I have for my children, even with themselves. I said to my boys, I want to raise a young man. I'm raising a young man that when he stands before the mirror, he goes, you are a man. You tell that to yourself. And those are qualities, that is defining the qualities I'm helping them imbibe. Those qualities I'm helping them imbibe every day. So it's very important, the vision. But peradventure you feel you're not doing it well or you're missing things. Thank God these days there are resources everywhere. When I said to somebody sent something to me on Facebook or Instagram, and I said, please don't send this to me anymore. Because I don't want to click on it. If I click on something like this 2-3 times, that's what will come up on my feed.
Yeah.
I don't want this to be coming up. If I'm scrolling through my Instagram, the major things that come up are things about my faith, things about parenting, things about marriage, and things about fashion. I like fashion. But those are the things I love to read about, I love to know about. If I go on LinkedIn, it's different because those are, so you need to identify what you want to surround yourself with. There are resources every day, everywhere that we can learn. Leave the guilt and open up to learning. I would also add, make your children your accountability partners. I think I didn't get that right. What do you think? Children are very honest. And in fact, they will be excited to tell you the truth. I didn't get that right. What do you think? Regular appraisal with your children is very, very important. There was a time I needed to pick up a job, like it's about 2.5 hours drive away from home. So that means I'll leave the house about 5:30 in the morning. And I had a conversation with my children. I said, you know what? Let's try it because I've been looking. Let's try this for 3 months and then we'll recheck. And I put some measures in place to help me say, okay, I'm being intentional to be present, because presence is not only when we're physically together.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So I put those in place, and 3 months later, I called my boys. Oh yeah, come and tell me, how have I been doing? How have we been doing? And they gave me feedback. And from the feedback, I learned the things that I've been doing well and the things I need to do better. Regular appraisal. It's okay for your child to tell you, Mom, you didn't do that well. It's okay for us to listen to them, and it's okay to say, so how do you think I can do better for my children? And then a step further is with your spouse. How are we doing? How can I do better? And tell yourself the truth. Feedback, ability to take feedback and work on them is a strength that we all need to acquire as parents, so that we can leave that guilt behind us and move forward. And like I said at the beginning,
pat yourself in the back.
You're doing a great job.
Amazing nuggets, Kiki. So, for me, what my take is, don't be too hard on yourself. First of all, pat yourself, give yourself grace.
Give yourself, that's the word. Give yourself grace. Yeah.
Give yourself grace. Self-appraise, and take feedback from your children
Family.
as well, your spouse in whatever situation. And it's okay. Children are psychologists, as we said. They are picking up things on the go. So it's okay to ask them, really, how am I doing? And really, just there's so much resource out there. If you feel like you're lagging in one area, why don't you pick up a resource and understand more about the area that you're lagging?
And if I may add, we talked about societal pressure.
Yeah.
The society will make you feel you're not doing enough.
Absolutely.
But self-appraisal is very important. Yeah. Also, when you're hearing things that make you feel you're not doing enough, for me, the best people to take that I am not doing enough to are my immediate family, my children. Okay, so thing. I feel, or I heard. What do you think? Tell me the truth. They will tell you the truth. And then you ask, how can I do better? Because yes, society will tell you you're not doing enough. People will tell you. When the Bible says, take out the log in your eyes, is that what before you take out the speck in another person's eyes? That's what it means. A lot of people, we do not see the one in our own eyes. We see the one in other people's eyes. And we take it upon ourselves to tell. And in fairness, they don't mean ill when they tell you. But it is for us to be able to sift and pick the one that is my gauge, true, noble, praiseworthy, good reports, honest. I love that Bible passage. Yeah. It's to gauge those things and pick those things out for yourself.
amazing, Kiki. And what I hear you say really is your appraisal mechanism is not the society, it's
Mm-mm.
your self appraisal.
And
Whatever
the
things are
assignments you
true,
have,
whatever
yeah.
things are noble, whatever things are of good report, you run with them. Amazing. Thanks, Kiki. Such an amazing conversation so far. So, we're moving to a segment on strengthening the family unit.
Mhm.
Can you share a success story of a blended family you've worked with, and how do they foster strong relationships between stepfathers and biological parents and children?
Mm. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I have, and I'm not going to mention name, but
Oh yeah, of
I know
course.
she's very happy for me to share the story
Yeah.
because it's when you see where you were and where you are,
Hmm.
you're grateful,
Yeah.
and people learn from our stories.
Yeah.
So there was this family that she had a child before
Hmm.
coming in, and I think by the time she got married, a child was already hitting the teenage years.
Mm. Mm.
Exactly. And so it was tricky
Mm.
for her to bring a boy who was already hitting the teenage years into a family, and then she got pregnant and realized she was having a boy as well. But the gap is like almost 11 or 12 years
Mm.
between the children.
Mm.
So there is the conflict between the man and the
Teenage
teenage
son.
son, the son and the little brother, the mom and the father, the mom and the boy, that you just drop your guards and all of those things. It was quite tricky because I think one of the things, like I said, I think I mentioned a bit of the story earlier on about where I asked, have you ever stood up
Mhm.
to say,
Yeah.
she understand? And it was quite tricky because in that family, the communication was breaking down.
Mm.
So it was beginning to be what I saw before we decided to come together doesn't seem to be a reality anymore.
Mm.
So the first thing I did, I said to them, because when we're having a conversation, it was what I saw doesn't seem to be happening. It doesn't seem to be what we have. What did you see?
Mm.
Because remember earlier on we talked about vision.
Mm.
Vision is at the thing, your vision is the thing you're seeing in the years ahead. So you had a vision for this unit. What did you see? And then after we had gone into, talk about what I saw, written it out and putting it out like a description on the beautiful painting on the wall. I love vision. The Bible says, write it, make it plain. So that you can see and run. So there is that power of seeing. When God was going to expand Abraham, he said, look, I see as far as. So it's very, very important. After doing that seeing and writing the vision, what I saw, then we now went back to say, where did it begin to break down?
Mm.
And most of these things, the first place where it begins to break down is the space of communication, misunderstanding. And I love the word misunderstanding. There understanding, but there was miss in it. So we can easily take off the miss by explaining, by clarifying, so that there will be understanding. It takes a lot of work. But at the end of the day, after going through the misunderstandings to make sure there are clarities, so now we all of those things we've tried to clarify them. The next step is where do we have our eyes on the things we saw that made us come together, that the things we saw that made us want to do this journey together as a unit. That word unit is very important. I am in this with you. We're running together. We're not running against each other. Because what happens in blended families most times is unknown to ourselves, even with nuclear families that are not blended, unknown to ourselves, we're competing against each other. I can be the best parent. I can be the best. No, we're a unit that we're working towards a goal, a vision. And so once that understanding was there, then I'm big on family meeting. Anybody I work with will say, Kiki will say, when was the last time you had your family meeting? Everybody must talk, because if you go back to your corporate work, you have team meetings.
Yeah.
And what do team meetings do? They make everybody talk so that we can move.
Realigned.
We are realigned, and then we're making success. We're making progress. We're seeing success. That's very important. Our family is an organization, is a unit. So I'm big on it. So have family meetings and let everybody talk. One strategy that we use in my home for family meetings is, as we go around, family meetings are not devotions though. They're not, for us that are Christians, they are not when we open a Bible and Bible devotion. No. It's when we're sitting down with Coke and biscuits, or we're just sitting down and we're talking and checking in on each other. And when we have people to lead each meeting. So in my home, my boys, there are times that it's their turn, mom's turn, dad's turn, and when it's whoever's turn, everybody must listen. It's part of the organizational code of conduct. Everybody needs to listen, and that boy is the one that is leading. So however he leads is the way you take it. But what that gives room for is you're seeing that child's leadership skills, so that you can correct, and help him hone his leadership skills and do better for the next meeting. Do you get? So those are like, and at the end of the day, they're doing well. In fact, the lady is helping me right now and saying, so there's a program I do, Dad and I dinner. She called me 2 weeks ago and said, Kiki, it's time for us to come and do Dad and I dinner in Nigeria, so that my boys and their dad, the stepfather and the boys and their dad can come and tell their story. And that's how happy the young man is even a graduate right now.
So there's really no irredeemable situation.
No.
Like
except there are kind of life-threatening abuse and life-threatening situations, but I think largely in a marriage, I'm very passionate about marriage. I'm not a marriage counselor, I'm not a marriage coach, but because of the things I went through in the early years of my marriage, I think I look back today and say, no irredeemable situations. And in fact, not too long ago, myself and my husband was saying, thank God we didn't separate them. This is what we would have been missing now. And in the way we're so close, we're playful, we're enjoying ourselves. And we're like, is this what we would have missed if we had allowed those situations, to come between us? So like I said, no situation is irredeemable.
Amazing. So we're going to talk now about balancing external influence and internal values, especially because of the kind of culture that we are. I mean, Nigerians are very, very family oriented. So have you worked with a family that needed to set boundaries with extended family? How did they manage that, and what kind of parenting advice can you give in setting those boundaries?
No, my smile is prolonged because I'm wondering, should I tell my story here? Because at some point we had to do that. And actually, the story is on my YouTube channel. It was actually my husband that told the story on my YouTube channel.
Amazing.
Because boundaries, like a lot of words, we've turned from being positive to negative, right? Like I said, vulnerability earlier. Boundary is not a negative thing. But some people, they push back to say boundaries. Oh, you tell him no. Boundaries are actually healthy for the other person and for me as well. Boundaries are very healthy, and we should all set boundaries in place. Now, talking about how you put the boundaries in place. What are your values? I think I'll say to parents very early in your children's life, let them understand the meaning of core values. And then have a family mandate. What do we want to be known for as a family? Is it that we love resides in our home and everything we do is geared by love? Or that joy, our home is a citadel of joy. Anybody that comes into our home must live happy. Or it's fun. Do you understand? And it can change, right? Because we are being, we're evolving and, every day. So It's very, very important. Teach your children about core values. What are our core values? What are we known for? Once that foundation is set, and then somebody comes into your home and not respect that core value, you're able to confidently say, sorry, these are the core and you don't have to be rude. It's just like, if you don't, some people allow shoes into their homes. Some people do not allow shoes into their homes. When you enter somebody's house for the first time, how do you know they allow shoes? What you see at the door. If you see shoes at the door in one corner, you know that, okay, this home, shoes are not allowing. So you remove your shoe and put it there. Those are boundaries that you've put in place. So when somebody now mistakenly wear your shoes into, I've done it that I say, Auntie Kiki, your shoes. Okay. I'm a very playful person. I take where you carry it and put it there. But tomorrow when I come to that house, I know that this boundary is in place. Playfully. It's okay to be playful and just share it with respect. That's number one. How about when you have older family members? I say this to men. Your father's family, the day you get married, becomes your extended family. Because we make the mistake of saying my family. No, you and I and these children make up your family. Anybody outside of this four is extended. And it applies to us women as well. You must identify that this is mine. My father has done his the way he wants. My mother that. I'm accountable for these ones. And then when you have that understanding, you're able to confidently set boundaries. Are there people who will want to cross the boundaries? Yes. But it's okay to be firm. I watched a movie where the man, somebody was harassing his family and he just gave the wife some nudge and the wife took the daughter away. And so the man continued to insult and he just looked at the man and gave the man a punch on the face. And the man looked at him and kept quiet. I'm not saying do that, but the man that was harassing them, because it was a lot bigger, he kept quiet. So later on when they go home, the father went to the child and said, sweetie, I'm so sorry. I won't do that again. It was apologizing to the child. And the child said, it's okay, Dad. I understand that there comes a time in a man's life where he has to stand up for his family against the world. And then my father said, how did you know that? He said, Mom told me. So there comes a time where you have to put your feet on the ground. I said, should I give myself as an example? At the point where we had to, put our feet on the ground was where my husband said, for the next 6 months, no parent, no extended family calls you or me. Took my phone. Then in those days, phone was just coming up when I got married. In fact, those were the days of big phones. Blocked their numbers from my phone, blocked their numbers from his phone. And then we had one day in the week where he would pick up the phone, dial the numbers, and said, Mom, to my mom, we said we should say hello to you, blah, 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 blah. Okay, bye, Mom. We'll talk to you next weekend. Cut the phone block. Call his own side. We said we should say hello to you, blah, 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 blah. Okay, bye-bye. Cut the phone. And that was it. It was a tough boundary. But till today, it's giving us peace. So there are times that when you have to throw that punch. Maybe not literally, but as men, because there comes a time in a man's life, in a parent's life, where you put your feet on the ground and say, this is my family and it's my responsibility to protect them. Boundaries are very important and they're good, they're healthy to put in place. Will people be hurt? Yes. It's just like you want to enter your child's room. You knock on the door and you wait to listen. Sometimes particularly when you become teenagers, you knock, they will not answer you in the room. But Those are boundaries. It means his mom stay out of my room right now. You get. There was time my my son, God bless my boys, we're chatting and they said, "Mom, will you love my wife?" I said, "Yes." Well, your wives that I've been waiting for, I've been praying for them. I will love them. He said, "What if they don't like you?" I said, "It's not possible because I've been praying. They will love. They won't like me. They will love me." And one of them said, "Anyway, you don't have a choice because if you don't like them, I won't let you come to my house." I said, "What do you mean? So are you saying I won't see my grandchildren?" I said, "Yes, you see your grandchildren. I'll drive, I'll bring your grandchildren." This was when they were in secondary school. "I'll bring your grandchildren, drop them. My wife will wait for me in the car. When I drop them, I'll go back to the car. Myself and my wife will go and have a nice time, and then we'll come back and pick them. I won't deprive you from seeing your." They're already setting boundaries for me because they've seen how we have set boundaries. So yes, it's
Absolutely.
okay to set boundaries.
Yeah. So, I mean, I really, so much from what you've said, but what I take away from this is boundaries are not necessarily negative.
No.
They are important, actually, really, to protect the family unit and the value that you built as a unit. And it's important that that is clearly communicated, not as a negative thing, but really as a positive thing.
And to protect the other person as
Exactly.
well, because when you don't set your boundaries and make it clear, they step over. And when they step over, you get offended at them.
Yeah.
And they are wondering, what have I done to offend you?
Yeah.
So you're also protecting yourself
Yeah.
from unnecessary offense.
Yeah. Exactly.
Protecting them from offending you and wandering and running away from you, because relationships are very important in our lives. Everybody cannot run away from us.
Absolutely. Amazing, Kiki. It's been an amazing time. I've learned so
I've
much.
had a good time
I've
as
learned
well.
so
I've
much.
learned a lot as well talking.
I've learned so much to how to set very good boundaries, to having a vision for your family, to ensuring that you are really self-appraising, allowing your children to appraise you, to make sure that at least society is not the voice of society is not louder than the voices in your own unit. So I mean,
I like that.
so much that I've learned today. So I mean, for me, just to wrap everything up, I would like for you to just share with us. Really, we haven't spoken much about your two babies. Well, aside the two boys.
You mean 3 boys?
The 3 boys. We haven't spoken about Joshua's army and Naomi's tribe. So can we
Okay.
just use that and just a way to just wrap up this conversation? And just
Okay,
tell us,
thank you very much. So, Naomi's tribe is a tribe of Christian women who are working on a journey to raise wholesome and exceptional young men. And so we're mothers of boys. And why Naomi's tribe? I believe that Naomi in the Bible had 2 boys, right? People associate grief, pain to Naomi. But when I flipped it, when I studied the life of Naomi, Naomi's daughters-in-law, when their husband had died, said, we would go with you. And in my culture, they say Ruth died with her husband. But I say, no, Ruth's husband had died years ago. She followed her mother-in-law. There is something that the mother-in-law had done in the lives of her boys that made the girls so love her that you raise this kind of boys, Mama, we will go anywhere with you. There's something she had done in the lives of those girls that made them say, Mama, we're going with you. And so that's what Naomi's tribe is. Women that are raising wholesome boys the biblical way. And Joshua's army is like raising a new army. If you look at the Bible, after Moses died, God gave Joshua an army. The old had died, the new is here. And the new is what went into the promised land. And then in that new, there were adults, the fathers, which are the Joshuas, the Calebs, and then the children that were given birth to in the wilderness. Those, the Calebs and the Joshuas, they raised and trained those boys to become armies that God used, as they go into the promised land. So that's what's basically the two main. And we organize in March, actually on the 15th of March, we're having our Naomi's Tribe conference. And if you permit me to say, I'm so excited about the theme. It's a kingmaker. We are kingmakers. We're women, but we carry a lot of power. There's a lot we do in the lives of our boys. So we're coming together to appraise ourselves and learn about how we can be, kingmakers and raise worthy leaders. Oh gosh, now I'm shaking. And then Joshua's Army, we train boys. We got the boys to the Joshua's Army Academy and Joshua's Army Academy, where we have the boys to men and the boys for real. Boys for real is for the younger boys. Boys to men is for the older boys, and we have Better Dad Club, which is for the fathers, the Joshuas and the Calebs, right? But also a program that I'm always very passionate about every year is the Dad and I Dinner, which is where the Joshuas and the Calebs come with the young ones to dine, to wine, and just bless, impact, pass on knowledge, wisdom, because the world is busy.
Yeah.
A lot of the times, even when we want to stop and teach, it's a big ask for us.
Yeah.
So Dad and I Dinner is creating an avenue for the fathers to come, stop, and impact your children's life intentionally.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Kiki. This has been such an insightful
My pleasure.
I hope you all have learned a lot about really navigating societal pressures in raising children in blended families or co-parenting. Really, there's no manual, like Kiki said. We're really just winging it, and we just pray that as you go along raising your children, that you continue to focus on what your vision and your value is for your family. See you again next time. Have a fantastic day. God bless you.